One of our big championship deciders this weekend at the 750 Motor Club finale is the Gala Performance MR2 Championship. Now, Sean Trainer's championship defence has taken a season-long battering in the shape of Ben Rowe, who only needs to finish 9th or higher in race 1 in order to take that fight right to the wire in race 2. Let's see how that battle goes on with Andy in the commentary box.
Well, thank you, Paul. The scene is set then with Chris Thomas and Paul Cook on row 1. Sean Trainer is 3rd, the championship leader, alongside Shane Mansbridge. On the 4th row is where we find Darren Aldworth and Sean Trainer's nearest rival, Ben Rowe. So Ben Rowe has some work to do here. He is 9 points behind Trainer coming into this race, and whilst the top 9 finish in this race would mathematically keep things alive, realistically he could do with beating Trainer in this one, so as to try and close the gap going into the final race of the season later on. Well, we're on board with Sean Trainer here as we get ready for the start. Paul Cook and Chris Thomas in front of us. Red lights go off. We're away and racing for the penultimate time in 2018, and it's a good start made by Paul Cook from the outside of row number 1. On the inside there, Chris Thomas is going to lose the lead down towards Rich's corner, and in fact he could lose second because Sean Trainer draws alongside him into the first corner. Don't think he's quite going to be able to go through there. The rest of the field filing their way through Rich's corner, on board with Ben Rowe now as he works his way through. And you can see Sean Trainer in front of us. He's the white and blue car on the outside line. Everyone else, though, going to the inside. So Trainer could gain or he could lose out here on the less grippy side of the road. Rest of them working their way through. There's Graham Mailings. He's leading the Class C race and indeed the Class C Championship as well. Mick Nichols is second in class there, you can see right behind him. And we're on board now with Neil Stratton, who's running in Class A, and I don't see that many Class A cars in front of us. I think Adam Lockwood's just up the road, so I think we may be second in class in the early going here as they head through Palmers for the first time on the outside line here for Stratton, and then at the outside again down towards Agostini, where Chris Thomas is way wide, runs really wide through the left-hander, and that will surely allow Sean Trainer through. Yes, it does. So Trainer goes into second position, so the early exchange is working well here for Trainer. He's gained 1 position already, whilst Ben Rowe is still sort of in 6th-ish. Yes, I think he's now 6th, so that's Shane Mansbridge in front of him, and Graham Mailings behind, with Mick Nichols diving up the inside to try and take the class lead there through the right-hander at Oggies, and I think he might just succeed in doing that through the first tight right-hander, then the slightly more open right-hander at Williams, and you can see that Rowe is indeed in 6th place, still behind Shane Mansbridge. Graham Mailings actually does hang on to the Class C lead as well. Also running in Class C is Maxine Nichols, and up the inside of her there is Neil Stratton, the yellow number 36 car, and Maxine a bit wide over the grass, so number 45 Dominic Early draws alongside as well now. Maxine will have a bit more straight lines to be made within the Class A car down the back straight, and so she should be able to retake the position. Looking at Chris Thomas there as he attacks Darren Aldworth and gets all out of shape, and onto the grass he goes. So Chris Thomas was trying to take 3rd place away. In the end will rejoin, I think, in 6th position after a grassy moment there at the S's, and that most significantly perhaps allows Ben Rowe up into 4th. So Ben Rowe has got past Shane Mansbridge and now takes advantage of Chris Thomas's error to move up 2 positions in a couple of corners. So with Trainer 2nd and Rowe 4th, all of a sudden things looking a little bit better for Ben Rowe. But as I said at the start of the race, he really could do with beating Trainer in this one to try and carve into that 9-point advantage that this man that we're on board with enjoys with just 2 races to go. Sean Trainer in the slipstream of Paul Cook, looking to try and take even more points here if he can by pulling to the outside in towards Riches and taking the race lead. He's not going to go right round the outside. Instead, he's looking for the switchback manoeuvre, which is helped by the fact that Cook outbrakes himself, runs out wide, and almost hands the position straight over to Sean Trainer. So Trainer takes the lead. His next target is to try and pull away and then just guarantee that he gets the race victory. There is a point available as well for the fastest lap, so if he can really get his head down and set that fastest lap of the race, then that could really help him as well. Further back, Chris Thomas is starting the fight back. He's up the inside of Shane Mansbridge here down towards Palmer, and the inside line almost always works there, so through he should go. The leading 2 make their way through then the next 2 fighting over 3rd are Darren Aldworth and Ben Rowe, and then the next 2 fighting over 5th are Chris Thomas and Shane Mansbridge. But Thomas should have good pace here. Remember, he qualified on pole position, set a lap time that was a 10th and a half or so quicker than Paul Cook, so really Thomas should have the pace. It was only an early mistake down at this corner that cost him a bit of ground really, and then of course the bigger mistake that happened down at the S's, so he should be able to work his way back into the podium positions here. But to do that he'll have to negotiate at least one of the championship challengers. Back on board with Neil Stratton here, that is David Mustard that he's battling with in the Class C car up the road. Class C cars, the newer cars in the championship, the roadster-shaped cars, and Mustard has a rotation and loses it at Hamilton. And I was about to say that they're a bit down on straight line speed, but they grip well through the corners. But David's car did not grip well enough through Hamilton. He loses the rear and spins off to the left-hand side of the road. There shouldn't be any damage though, so we should hopefully see the number 74 car rejoin the road. For the time being though, David Stratton only too happy to take advantage. Darren Aldworth still under pressure here from Ben Rowe, who can see the leaders getting away now, and perhaps most importantly can see that Sean Traynor is starting to gap Paul Cook. So Traynor for the win is looking more and more likely here, whilst Ben Rowe, who's had 5 wins himself this season, to Sean Traynor's 7th. But Ben at the moment is still off the podium. He's up the inside of Aldworth though through Coram. Darren gentlemanly driving there, saw him coming, left him some room, knowing that even if he runs wide through the right-hander, he will have the inside line for the left-hander at Murray's. And Ben Rowe really has to box quite clever here, because yes, he needs to attack for 3rd place so that he can go after the race leaders, and yes, he needs to do it fairly quickly. But the last thing that he wants to be doing here is going for a move that doesn't work and ends up losing him momentum and perhaps losing him a couple of more places. So Ben Rowe, he's already gained 2 spots from where he started. He doesn't want to have to do that work all over again, but you can see what I mean there, because he was looking to the outside of Aldworth in towards Riches, and that opened the door very invitingly for Chris Thomas up the inside. So on that occasion, Chris didn't actually go for it. He backed out of it so as to avoid contact, but next time around, maybe Ben Rowe won't be quite so fortunate. Leading through the Wilson hairpin, then this 4-car train of cars dicing over 3rd. Aldworth is definitely backing Ben Rowe up into the pack now, as he is entitled to do, because whilst Ben Rowe needs the points for the championship, that is of no concern to Darren Aldworth. Darren simply wants to round the season out with a podium, and he is only 11 points behind Chris Thomas, who is 5th in this race at the moment, in their fight for 3rd in the points. So every point matters here for Darren Aldworth. He may not be fighting for the championship, but it's still significant to try and be 3rd in the points. Ben Rowe up the inside, they almost make contact at Agostini. They both run out wide, and here comes Chris Thomas again. So Thomas, this is exactly what I meant, because Ben Rowe has gone for a move. It didn't work, and it might be about to cost him 4th place. No, he just about gets across the nose of Chris Thomas's blue car in towards Hamilton and hangs on. But this is the risk that Ben Rowe is taking here. It's a risk that he has to take. I absolutely understand that. He needs to make some progress here, because whilst 4th place would mathematically be enough to keep the championship alive into the final round, he would be losing even more points to Sean Traynor. It would be well into double figures then going into the final race. However, Ben Rowe's one possible glimmer of hope here is the fact that Sean Traynor has already used up his dropped scores, because he had the opening round of the season back at Brands Hatch, he did not race, so Sean Traynor has already used up his 2 drop scores. If he were to have a non-finish at any point this weekend, he would have to count that towards his points total. So one more non-finish or one more bad result for Sean Traynor, and all of a sudden Ben Rowe is right back in it. But he doesn't really want to rely on that. He would quite like to go up there and overtake Sean Traynor on the road just in case. Again, he looks up the inside of Aldworth in towards Coram, but Rowe just can't get through. And with every lap that goes by, Traynor is getting further and further up the road. Through the left-hander they go at Murray's, avoiding that big sausage curb, preferably on the apex, and that's part of the circuit where Aldworth seems quite strong. He's defending where he needs to, but then there are parts of the circuit where he does seem able to pull back away from Ben Rowe. We're on board with the man who is 2nd place in the championship, coming across the start-finish line and running down towards the 1st corner. This very quick double apex right-hander at Riches. It's a tyre stack there on the apex of the first part of the corner to try and stop corner cutting, which is working at the moment. No one's cutting the corner, no one running too wide on the exit either, but it's a defensive line taken down towards Wilson there for the 3rd place man. Darren Aldworth one's a bit wide on the exit though, and so Ben Rowe carries a bit more speed through the right-hander. That's halved the gap maybe to the blue car in front of us. What about Palmer's? They hit the brakes, down a gear maybe, no, holding the same gear there into the left-hander, and a tighter run through there for Ben Rowe. This is Rowe's opportunity surely. Down towards Agostini he goes. He's in the slipstream. This is one of the best overtaking opportunities on the circuit, and at the moment Aldworth is not defending. Oh, the inside line looks Rowe. He's late on the brakes. He's into the back of Aldworth. Aldworth sideways, thankfully saves it. They both run wide. Ben Rowe waves his apology there at the man that he's just run into. Takes the place. Chris Thomas goes with him too, but that may well be discussed after the race. Meanwhile, this is the fight for 2nd in Class C. We've got Mick Nichols there trying to hang on ahead of Thomas Mailings, whose father Graham is leading the clash. You can see a bit further up the road. So in Class C, the battling is just as entertaining as it is in Class B. The thing is that the overall championship is being fought out amongst the Class B runners. Graham Mailings has a fairly healthy lead in the Class C championship standings coming into this race. So he is almost secure now as the provisional champion. There is Graham working his way through there, battling away with Wayne Lewis, the 47 car, running in Class B. And you can see there that Wayne has a bit more speed in a straight line, but the Roadster a bit lighter, therefore through the tighter parts of the circuit is a bit more nimble. So whilst you have your own class battles to worry about, it is quite entertaining to watch the different classes mingle throughout the midfield, because they do have different strengths and weaknesses and produce some interesting racing. Right then, Benroe, well, flirting with disaster there, running out wide over the curbs, coming out of the bomb hole, excuse me, which is not a corner you tend to see drivers running out over the edge of the road. But Ben has to get on with this now, because he's finally got this third place in slightly controversial fashion maybe, but he is into third. He's got some clear air in front of him now. He needs to try and close in on the leading two. The trouble is that he's running out of time. We're into the final 5 minutes of this race now, and it's a big old gap to the two cars in front. Class A battle here going on, and this is Dave Hemingway and Neil Stratton, who are debating the class lead at this stage. Dave Hemingway, the car in front of us, we're on board with Neil Stratton, heading through Corham in towards Murray's. You can see one of the Class B cars not far up the road, and that might be Mike Nash, I think, in the orange number 48 machine that they are catching. But they are more focused on their class battle here, because in the Class A Championship, Adam Lockwood and Dave Hemingway are only about 7 points apart in Dave's favour, so Dave could do with hanging on to the class victory here. To the outside line goes Stratton though towards Riches. Can't go right round the outside. What about the switchback on the exit of the corner? No, I don't think that was going to work. It looked as though Hemingway had that one covered on the exit of the turn too. Down towards Agostini comes this third place battle, and Benroe not really getting away here from Chris Thomas. He's a bit wide again there, and Agostini too slides out the rear of the car. Well, he's really pushing here, and you can see why, because those leaders are quite a long way in front. But in a way, you have to suggest that maybe consolidating third place might be his best course of action. It's still points, it's still better than a non-finish, and it will still keep the title alive into the final race. It will just not be quite as small a gap between the drivers as Benroe would like, points-wise, but anything can happen in motorsport. And as I said, Sean Trainer is on a bit of a knife edge here. He can't afford a non-finish, so as long as Ben keeps the pressure on in the final race, anything could happen. We do believe, though, that contact that he had with Darren Aldworth a lap ago is under investigation, so we'll wait and see what comes of that. If there were to be a penalty of some sort, it could knock Rowe further down the order. For the time being, though, he's preoccupied with making sure that doesn't happen on the track itself, because Chris Thomas is right with him and is giving him a real work over here through the left at Brundle, the right at Nelson, over the curb on the exit, and down towards this very quick right-hander at the bomb hole, virtually flat out in these cars. Back at Hamilton, meanwhile, through the left-hander goes the 21 machine of Patrick Firmin. Oh dear, and a big old shunt. That was David Mustard having his second moment of the race at Hamilton, and as he was virtually stationary in the road, Patrick Firmin had nowhere to go and clattered straight into him, so that could potentially require a safety car or a red flag, as at the same time Chris Thomas is going for third place. He's around the outside of Benroe at Murray's, and I think he's got his nose in front. There we go, on board with Benroe as we come across the start-finish line. Thomas to the right, Rowe will have the outside line down towards Rich's corner as the red flag comes out. Understandably, even two cars stricken in the middle of the road after a fairly hefty impact means the race is being stopped, and that will be a result, with Sean Trainer taking his 8th win of the season. Paul Cook comes home second, Chris Thomas is third, because Benroe was given a 5-second time penalty for that contact that he had with Darren Aldworth, meaning that he finishes 6th whilst the championship leader takes the victory. That could be really significant. As far as the class winners are concerned, Graham Mailings in 7th overall takes the Class C victory, whilst Dave Hemingway just hangs on to Class A from Neil Stratton. They were 17th and 18th overall. You can see there that we had 3 retirements, David Mustard and Patrick Firmin. We saw Adam Lockwood significantly, though. The man who was second in Class A Championship also failed to finish.
Sean, various permutations for the championship and where you both need to finish, but you did all you could do.
Yeah, I've done everything I can do. I think with the count back there, I think Ben's got third, so it's still not far from done and dusted. So we'll see what happens in the next race. So I think with lap times, I've just heard Cookie's got the fastest lap, so that he's on pole next. I'm just hoping I've got the second fastest, so I can keep myself out in the front, and hopefully we can sort of keep some gaps.
Well, when you're defending a title, you know, there's 2 ways of doing it, and staying out in front is one way, of course, but I'm sure you'd like to have sewn it up earlier than this, but it's great for the spectators to go to the wire.
It is, but like I said, we put ourselves on the back foot at Brands when we blew the engine up in quali, so we haven't got any fallback scores. So it might be a bit of a different story if we'd managed to get through Brands, but you know, we'd take it as it is, and I'll definitely take that result now. And if I can get another one anywhere near that this afternoon, then I'll be happy, man.
All eyes on race 2.
Yeah.
Good luck.
Cheers, thanks.
Ben, bit of controversy in that race. We won't mention that, but we will mention the championship battle, which you are still in, having finished 9th or higher.
Yes, well, we're still there, just about. We've got to hope for the best in the next race. I don't want to wish any bad to my competitors, my challengers, as it were. But the gods the racing gods may yet have cards to deal. So we'll just see how it goes.
But you've certainly kept yourself in the hunt, so you've got a card of your own to deal. It's just all out, isn't it?
Yeah. I've no holding back in this next one. I've got a dry track and a fast car, and we'll just give it everything.
You can't lose second, so it's all to play for.
That's it. Yeah, we can't get it wrong. We can only finish second or better. So yeah, we'll just which will be the best I've ever done. So we'll hope for the best.
We're watching. Good luck.
Crossed.
Well, the late afternoon sunshine here at Snetterton in Norfolk is adding a touch of extra atmosphere as we get ready for the final MR2 class, that Gala Performance MR2 Championship race of the weekend and indeed of the season. And one of these men behind me, either Sean Trainer or Ben Rowe, will be our champion. Now, we are pretty sure, Andy, I'm sure you'll correct me from the commentary box, but we're pretty sure that Ben has to win this race and Sean has to be way down the leaderboard 15th or something like that in order for the positions to turn around. So it looks like it is Sean's to lose, but lose it he could, because he does have to finish this race. So it's another title going down to the wire.
Well,
here
you're almost
at the
right.
750 Motor Club
is what
finale
Sean needs.
on the
If Sean
Snetterton
Trainer is
300
inside the top
circuit,
14,
and we,
then regardless
as I'm sure
of
you,
what
are
Ben Rowe
loving
can
it.
do,
Over to you,
Sean
Andy,
Trainer
for the final
would
race of
be
the
the
MR2s.
champion, and for Ben, if he's not on the podium, he can't win it at all. It's Paul Cook and Sean Trainer on row 1, with Rowe third this time, so at least closer to his rival than he was for race 1. Chris Thomas, Darren Aldworth and Shane Mansbridge round out the top 6, ahead of Pete Seeley, Sam Harper, Matthew Welford and Thomas Mailings. Graham Mailings, meanwhile, has provisionally been crowned the Class C champion after race 1, whilst in Class number A, Adam Lockwood and Dave Hemingway are still mathematically in positions in which that could change, but it's looking good for Adam Lockwood with a race to go. The final round of the 2018 Gala Performance Toyota MR2 Championship. All eyes on the overall and Class B championship contenders. As the lights go out, we go racing for the final time at Snetterton. Good start there, made on the right-hand side of the road by the blue and white car of Darren Aldworth, but at the front of the field, Paul Cook has done exactly what he did in race 1. He gets the lead down towards turn number 1, and Ben Rowe was up the inside of Sean Trainer for second position there, so immediately Rowe on the attack and trying to apply the pressure to his big championship rival. Of course, if Trainer goes off in this race and doesn't finish, then that opens the door for Ben Rowe to potentially take the championship, even if he's off the podium. But as long as Sean Trainer finishes the race, a podium is the bare minimum requirement here for Ben Rowe, and ideally a race victory. Down towards Palmer's Gate go then. It is Cook that leads the way. Trainer second. Rowe looks to be right on his tail in third though. Thomas fourth, Aldworth fifth, and Shane Mansbridge sixth. So it's the same top 6 drivers that we had all race in race 1, but in a slightly different order now. There is Graham Mailings, so I think is that's Thomas Mailings, isn't it, leading Class C, just in the first of the red and white cars. Graham Mailings there, the provisional champion, is up the inside of Jonathan Grimes going through Agostini, and so they run wheel to wheel for second in class, heading towards Hamilton. But it is Thomas Mailings, car number 77, that is leading Class C at the moment. On board with Maxine Nichols, looking back at Andrew Ruthven there, car number 82, as they turn in towards the left-hand kink at Hamilton's, which is taking a lot quicker when it's a clear road, but on the opening lap when everyone's together, it's a definite break into that left-hander, and then a big break in towards Oggies as they take various different lines through the corner, and it looks as though Ruthven is going to lose another position there on the exit of the turn. So up the inside goes another car, that's 47 I think, isn't it, that's trying to work its way through, and that is a car that we saw in the battles in race 1, I seem to remember, with Maxine Nichols involved, and Wayne Lewis from the back of the grid making good progress already. Right, back with the leaders through Brundle and Nelson, and Chris Thomas there, the blue and yellow car, chasing down Ben Rowe. Now these two were battling for third place in the previous race in the latter stages, and Chris Thomas did get through just before the red flag came out, but Ben was subsequently given a 5-second penalty for contact with Darren Aldworth. Now we heard Ben say after race 1 that he's just going all out in this one to try and take the championship, but he can't afford another bit of contact because a penalty would absolutely end his championship hopes. Good run through Coram there though for Chris Thomas, who we are on board with now as they headed towards Murray's, and Ben Rowe locking the brakes. He's really on it here. He looked ragged at times towards the end of the second race, but he can see Sean Trainer in front of him. But at the moment, Trainer is doing more than enough to hang on to the championship. So Trainer could let Ben Rowe through. In fact, he could let most of these cars through and still be in a position to take the title. A 14th place finish is all that Trainer needs to guarantee that he is the 2018 champion. Well, there's Darren Aldworth, the man who was assaulted by Ben Rowe midway through the previous race, which led to Ben's penalty. We're back on board with Andrew Ruthven here, who has caught back up to Maxine Nichols and dives up the inside of Ridges. Now, that's a great move if he gets the car stopped, which he does. Andrew Ruthven visibly later on the brakes there than Maxine Nichols was, and through he goes. The number 82 machine picking up another position, and now sets off after some of his fellow Class B runners that you can see just up the road in front of us, taking very sideways lines through the Wilson hairpin. Top three, though, starting maybe to get away slightly here from Thomas in fourth, but it's all really about what Ben Rowe can do to Sean Trainer. If he gets past, that's part one of the job done, and then he's got to try and hope the Trainer slips a bit further down, quite a lot further down the order, really. For Paul Cook, though, it's playing nicely into his hands because as the race leader, he has no championship pressure on his shoulders. Remember, he was excluded from a race earlier on in the season at Rockingham when he can't count that as his drop score, so that immediately takes him out of the championship fight. Paul Cook trying to get into the top 5 in the points, though, which he should do because he was tied for 5th with Tim Heron coming into this weekend. Well, Tim isn't here, and Paul won the first race anyway, so Paul Cook, in fact, could move into potentially 4th, maybe even 3rd in the championship if Darren Aldworth and Chris Thomas don't have good races here, but they are both inside the top half dozen at the moment. Paul Cook's race lead, though, is not actually all that secure because I think Sean Trainer's decided that his best form of defence is to attack and try and take the race lead, maybe get a car between himself and Ben Rowe. On board with Maxine Nichols, meanwhile, and has she got a problem here? There are cars passing her fairly easily, and yes, Maxine pulling off the road, and something has broken in the Class C Roadster. And unfortunately for Maxine, her day is done, her championship is done, and not quite in the fashion in which she would have hoped. Leading train of cars make their way back through. It's a 5-car breakaway now because Shane Mansbridge in 6th is dropping back, but Darren Aldworth in 5th is closing back in on the cars in front. We're on board with Sam Harper, who I believe is running in 7th position, trying to chase them down, and you can see Shane Mansbridge getting very out of shape in front of us. But through the left-hander we go. Sam Harper started 8th on the grid, finished the first race in 8th as well, and he's running 7th in this one, so he's gained 1 place at the expense of Pete Seeley, who presumably is somewhere around here. Side by side for 2nd place, though, and Ben Rowe goes through. Ben Rowe takes 2nd place away from Sean Trainer. Now, we didn't see how that one started. It could have been a better exit from Murray's there for Rowe, or did Sean Trainer say, do you know what, if you want to go through, go through. There's no need for Sean Trainer to get too defensive there with Ben Rowe, knowing that Ben, not that I'm suggesting Ben would do this, but if there were to be contact between the two of them, or if the two of them were to find themselves side by side, Ben maybe wouldn't be all that gentlemanly towards Sean, knowing that his only chance of taking the title would be if Sean were to finish some way down the road. So whilst Ben, I'm sure, wouldn't have outright taken Sean Trainer out if he were to get alongside, he doesn't have to give Sean Trainer any room on the exit of a corner, and one little nudge could change the whole dynamic. So Ben Rowe into 2nd place cleanly, and Sean Trainer now just needs to try and stay somewhere in this lead pack. 14th is all he needs, but a top 5, even if he dropped right to the back of this group, he would then be under no pressure from Shane Mansbridge behind in 6th. So for Sean Trainer, it's not necessarily the way a driver wants to win a championship. You want to go out and win it with an all-out attack, but right now, that is maybe not the best course of action here for Sean Trainer. Ben Rowe, though, seems to have much better pace in this race than he had in race 1. Maybe a few changes to the car, and Ben looking like he's one of the fastest drivers on the track at the moment. He's starting to apply the pressure to Paul Cook. Now, if Ben Rowe were to finish 2nd, then Trainer simply needs to finish, because if you finish outside of the top 15, then you score 2 points regardless of where you end up. So as long as Trainer were to finish, those 2 points would be enough to hold on to the championship. But Ben Rowe is going for the lead round the outside in towards Brundle. That gives him the inside potentially for Nelson. Is he there? No, Cook is late enough on the brakes to see off that challenge, but runs a bit wide on the exit. Rowe looks back to the inside towards the bomb hole, can't do it. And this is bringing Trainer back into the picture as well now, as these two start to hold each other up and dice. Well, Trainer may have no choice but to get stuck into the battle. He looks to the inside at Coram, backed out of it. That was almost certainly going to end in contact. On board with Chris Thomas now in 4th, and this is a real pressure cooker race here, especially for Sean Trainer, because we're saying that all he needs to do is ride around in 3rd place and finish the race, but it's so easy for something to go wrong when you're so closely bunched together here. As soon as the race leader starts to defend, it just backs the whole field up, and that so often leads to an innocuous bit of contact that can fire one driver off the road. It'll be completely unintentional, but when you're running this close together, one little slip up, one loss of momentum, and you can all end up running into each other. So Sean Trainer really has to be careful here. I know that it looks like he's in a comfortable position for the championship, but remember, he has used up his 2 dropped scores after that engine failure at Brands Hatch meant that he didn't race all weekend. One non-finish would hand the title to Ben Rowe. So if Trainer, just to put that into perspective, if Trainer were to go off, then Ben Rowe, as long as he's on the podium, that would be enough, or as long as he's in the top 2, that would be enough to take the title. If he finished 3rd, he would need the bonus point for the fastest lap to wrap it up. I know we're going to get ahead of ourselves here, but it all just helps to build the tension, doesn't it, for this race? And it goes to show that it's not just as simple as looking at the points and seeing that Trainer only needs to finish 14th. Well, sometimes that's easier said than done. At the moment, though, he's in 3rd place, he's looking strong, and just needs to keep his nose out of trouble. Through Hamilton they go. Paul Cook not doing him any favours here. In a way, Trainer would kind of rather those top 2 just disappeared up the road and left him to hold on to 3rd, because it's the fact that these two are battling that is actually making life precarious for Trainer right now. Through Oggies, excuse me, then through Williams onto the Bentley straight, and Rowe, I'm sure, is going to try and use the slipstream again at this part of the circuit to draw alongside Paul Cook, and who knows what that could mean for the cars behind. Weaving around from left to right there is Paul Cook as he tries to break the toe, and you are allowed to do that once or twice down the straight, but not too often. Rowe can't quite draw level this time though on the outside line. So Paul Cook hangs on, but locks up again. That's the 2nd lap he's done that, and this time he really runs wide. But because Rowe wasn't quite as close as he was a lap ago, actually the end result is the same, that Rowe closes in on Paul Cook, but isn't actually able to get up the inside. Through the bomb hole, top 3 now breaking away. Chris Thomas and Darren Aldworth involved in their own private scrap for 4th. Now that's good news for Trainer. It takes a bit of the pressure away from the championship leader. Back with Sam Harper, who you can see is dropping further back now in 7th position. Sam Harper driving strongly here as he works his way through Coram Corner. Number 18 machine inside the top 7 in this race. 7th place therefore in Class B as well. The top 7 or 8 cars in fact in this race are all Class B runners. It's still Thomas Mailings, by the way, leading in Class C, and he is inside the top 10 overall, having a good strong run here is Thomas, who's definitely got quicker as the year has gone on. Back through the first corner we go. There is Chris Thomas, 4th position. Aldworth keeping him honest but not really giving him a true workover right now. There is Shane Mansbridge in 6th. As the leaders head through the Wilson hairpin, and each one getting wider than the next as they all try to outbrake each other into the slowest corner on the track. But that also makes it one of the better overtaking opportunities. And then up towards Palmer's, and it looks good here as though Sean Trainer really is doing everything he needs to. He does not need to attack Ben Rowe. He can quite happily follow him to the checkered flag in the positions they're in now, and he would still be the champion. But if there is an opportunity that presents itself to get up a bit further up the podium, then why not go for it? Further back, see some of the battles going on here, including some of the Class C cars, and there is Graham Mailings. He is now a bit more secure in 2nd place in the class, and he's trying to find a way up the inside of Matthew Welford's Class B car there. Graham Mailing to the outside line on the way into Agostini, trying to get the cut back and use the lightweight, agile nature of the Class C roadster to his advantage. This infield section is definitely where the Class C cars have an edge. As soon as you get out onto the Bentley straight, that's maybe where the slightly more powerful Class B cars start to stretch their legs again. Right, Ben Rowe a bit closer to Paul Cook this time, I'd say, going onto the back straight, so he may be able to get alongside on this occasion down towards Brundle and Nelson. It's really in the 2nd half of the straight where the toe starts to really take effect, and yep, here comes Rowe to the outside line again. Now, if he goes right around the outside here, he will have the inside line for Nelson. Can't do it though. Through the left, through the right, Sean Trainer once again starts to buy into it all as well, but it's still under no pressure from the cars behind, so I suppose Sean can afford to show his nose here and see whether or not he can work his way into 2nd place and maybe then the race lead. I think that Sean probably does have the pace to win this race, but maybe just trying to keep his powder dry, knowing how precarious the point situation is for him. Whereas for Ben Rowe, really there's nothing to lose by going all-out attack here. Back across the start-finish line they go, someone being warned for exceeding the track limits there as Ben Rowe looks to the inside line at Riches. Can't quite do it, so still Ben Rowe is frustrated in his attempts to find a way into the race lead. Shane Mansbridge works his way through, then Sam Harper, then what's going on behind with the Class C cars. Have we had a change there? No, we haven't. Graham Mailings, I think, yes, he's still 2nd in class. He still hasn't found a way ahead of Matthew Welford, but he's managing to keep the 3rd place Class C car of Jonathan Grimes there, the silver and blue car, at bay. Then it's Mick Nichols 4th in class, you can see. Now, he was up there fighting for a podium position before, so he's had a bit of a moment somewhere and dropped down the order. Leaders, though, well, Paul Cook, for the first time all race, is really having to get his elbows out here, driving down the middle of the road in towards Agostini. This, again, is going to start backing the field up. So the tension starts to rise again here for Sean Trainer. Chris Thomas is definitely getting a bit closer to him, but Darren Aldworth is dropping away from Thomas. So again, Chris Thomas getting quite quicker in the 2nd half of the race, a bit like he did in race 1 really. Had a couple of early moments and then came on strong later on. worked his way back into a podium position, of course. Ben Rowe trying to work his way into the race lead, gets right onto the boot lid of Paul Cook's car as they turn through Oggies. There, though, is Sean Traynor. He is doing enough for the championship at the moment. So for Ben Rowe, in a way, although he knows that the race victory is his best chance to take the title, even if he doesn't take the championship, it's still another race victory, isn't it? It's still a 6th win of the year. Sean Traynor has 8 wins at this stage, looks at the moment unlikely to improve on that, so he's still going to win more races than anyone else this year, and he's going to provisionally take the title at the moment. And Ben Rowe, there was a bit of contact, I think, there with Paul Cook as he ran a bit wide into Brundle. Can't afford that sort of thing to happen here, and Sean Traynor could get back on his tail now as they turn through Coram. Ben Rowe goes off the road, then needless to say, that ends his championship challenge altogether, so he needs to be a bit more careful here, but I don't think he did anything wrong there. There's a bit of paint traded as they turn into the corner. Some great battles going on throughout the field. There is car number 36. Now that is Neil Stratton, and Neil Stratton is leading Class A fairly comfortably. Dave Hemingway is second and Adam Lockwood is third, but Adam had a non-finish in the previous race. That now counts as one of his drop scores. You can see Adam Lockwood there. He is the blue car, just dipping his nose out of line behind. In fact, going for second in class. Can't do it there. The number 11 car, though, is the car that is on the verge of winning Class A. This, ironically, at the moment, would also be a drop score. He's never finished outside of the top 2 in class yet this season. But even with this becoming a drop score, it should still be enough for him to take the title, because Dave Hemingway is nearest rival. As you can see, he's right in front of him. These are the top 3 cars in Class A. So the battle, again, could still run right the way down to the wire. Now, what's gone on here? Because at the front of the field, Sean Traynor is on the grass, but despite that, he's in second place. He's ahead of Ben Rowe. So Sean Traynor has found a way ahead of Rowe into second position. Maybe Sean has finally decided now is the time to attack and try and just end the season with a victory. Forget about the points, forget about the championship, just go for a victory and end on a high. He's going to have to defend again from Rowe, though, down towards the left-hander at Agostini. Paul Cook having to really defend now, but maybe not from the driver that he particularly expected to have to defend from. Paul himself has scored 4 victories so far this year. His race this morning was his 4th of the season. He would like to take a 5th if at all possible. It goes to show, had it not been for that exclusion, he would have been a championship contender, because if he wins this race, he will have the same number of wins as Ben Rowe. So had it not been for that exclusion, Paul Cook would very much been a part of this championship story. He's got the race lead at the moment, though, but Sean Traynor, well, making his move. He's into second place. Can Ben Rowe fight back? And if he does, how hard will Sean Traynor make it for him? Down the Bentley straight we go once again. Defensive line being taken by Traynor. Now this takes the pressure off of Paul Cook as Ben Rowe drags himself alongside. Looks almost as if there's a bit of damage there to the front left corner of Sean Traynor's car, so I'm not sure if there's been a bit of a sort out between these 3 somewhere, whilst we were focusing on that titanic Class A battle. Paul Cook it is that still leads the race. Sean Traynor second, Ben Rowe third, and Chris Thomas, who's been there or thereabouts all racing 4th, but not really quite been as much a part of the podium fight as he was in race 1. Possibly a bit of smoke from the back of the number 6 car as well, I'd say there. Couldn't tell whether that was just being kicked off or something emanating from the back of the car. The checkered flag, though, is being readied. The final victory of the year will go to Paul Cook, but the championship will go to Sean Traynor, and Sean Traynor does it in style, because not only did he finish 14th or better, but he's on the podium, and he beats his championship rival Ben Rowe. There's no better way to do it than that, really, apart from maybe taking the race victory. It is the 5th win of the year for Paul Cook, with Traynor second and Rowe third. Confirmation of that result here, and that is enough for Sean Traynor to wrap up the overall and Class B championship. Chris Thomas was 4th ahead of Darren Aldworth, Shane Mansbridge and Sam Harper. Pete Seeley was next. Thomas Mailings wins Class C on the road. The championship, though, already was going to his father Graham, whilst in Class A it was Adam Lockwood who took the title, despite it being another class victory in Class A this week in that race for Neil Stratton. Lockwood was second in class, though, and that is enough to wrap up the title.
Second place to end the weekend and indeed the season, Sean, with a championship victory under your belt. That's been a good weekend.
It has been a brilliant weekend. Hats off to Ben and Cookie. Cookie's been fast all day. I thought maybe he made a bit of a mistake. I think it was the second lap from the end. And I sort of went up the inside, but he had the better breaking into the corner, and I thought, I'm not going to fight this and throw it away. And I was already out on the grass. I just go, and I was pretty much content with third at one point. I thought, that's it. Do you know what I mean? I'm in third. I'll have that. And then they had a bit of contact going into the first corner, and I thought it just handed on me to a plate. I thought, hey, we'll have some of that. But I just couldn't quite get the brakes on hard enough. The Cookie got me back. But absolutely brilliant weekend. And like I said, the lads like Lee and Phil that look after my car, it's a team effort. Without them, it wouldn't be here. So they earn it as much as I do.
Like many of the 750 Motor Club formulas, I think the MR2 Championship embodies that kind of spirit of everyone being so passionate about the cars that you're racing. It's true clubman racing, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, and we're all in the paddock. If someone's got an issue, everyone will help. It could be your nearest competitor, but if they have a gearbox issue and it needs changing before the next race, everyone will help. It's not, I've never been in anything else, so I can't really compare, but I can't see anywhere else to be the same. Do you know what I mean? Everyone is friendly in the paddock. It's, like I've said before, I'm not going anywhere else.
Thank you, good luck. Boys, I can see a bit of post-race banter going on. I hope there's no racing driver excuses.
Oh yes, always the racing driver excuses. Whenever I don't win, it's got to be somebody else's fault or the gods or something like that. Clearly unfair.
I think on this occasion it definitely was Paul's fault that you didn't win, because this man took the win. That's a great win to end. You've been pushing these guys all day.
Yeah, absolutely. I seem to be getting stronger towards the end of the season where it comes to an end, but it was hard work the second race. Ben had the run on me down the end of Bentley Straight every lap, and I fended him off and got the result.
Perhaps a signal of intent on 2019?
Yes, definitely. Yeah, I'll give it a good start next year and hopefully go from there.
Congratulations, brilliant victory to end the weekend. Ben, you didn't quite get what you needed for the championship, but you were in the hunt and you came here with a title that went down to the wire.
Yeah, and that's the main thing. And as I was just saying to the circuit commentator, like, if I go away from this championship miserable, having done the best year I've ever done, then I'm an idiot. None of us are going to get a contract from Mercedes next week, so the important thing is to have fun and all finish the season as mates, and we've done that, so we're good. The championship's done what it's supposed to do. We've had fun, we've finished the season friends, so couldn't want for any more, really. No one's going to remember who's champion in a week's time anyway. So.
In 3 weeks, you will, when the TV show goes out.
Well, that's true enough.
What a way to end the MR2 Championship here at Snetterton, with a true spirit of what the 750 Motor Club is all about. And what a weekend, what a finale weekend it has been here on the Snetterton 300 circuit.